Hi folks, and welcome to the 50 millionth of Octapril. Do I get dressed today? Is it a weekday? Who even knows anymore? Welcome to another episode of From Amateur to Expert Daily, where we talk about work, wealth, and how to position yourself as a top-level expert. Folks, today I'd like to share a simple thought with you in terms of scenario planning. Scenario planning can be taken to a great art form. There are men and women around the world who consult to governments and to CEOs in terms of how to carry out complex scenario planning. But today I'd like to do pretty much the opposite with you, and that is to share the simplest form of scenario planning. Right now we don't need great complexity. We need something to guide us through a difficult period. There is no data available from the future, and therefore there are no guarantees as to what works. But now, more than ever, smart strategy, basic planning, and acting rather than getting stuck will make all the world of difference. So if you're looking for a way to look at the problem, here's a good one. Last night I was reading a James Michener novel, and I love James Michener. He wrote last century. He was a kind of combination novelist and historian. He'd take one place on Earth and start at the dawn of time, go through the formation of the continents, and work his way right up to today. So last night I'm reading Centennial, which is set in the northern parts of what is now the United States. And 150 or so pages in, we finally arrive at early man and the first emergence of human beings. And he starts with a hunting scene. And he has this early hunter making the statement, "If this happens, then." And then James Michener pauses and goes on a 5-page tangent about how profound an idea that is. This thinking creature that is able to say, if, then. And it's the first time a thinking creature has been able to do that. We underappreciate how remarkable our minds are. We appear to be the only animal that weighs up ifs and thens. In other words, we are the only thinking creature that is able to say, here are contingencies for the future, multiple possible outcomes. So that becomes our scenario planning for this particular situation. If, then. And it's as simple as that. Let's ask ourselves what projects we've been considering, what work we are thinking about embarking on, what business you might want to launch. There is something playing at the back of your mind and you're wondering whether or not you should do it. Should you put in the energy and the effort? All right, I would like you to take that project and apply the if-then model. So let's take a very simple example of that. Look at the scenario around you. Right now in my nation, we're in complete lockdown. So we basically have 3 likely scenarios. It's either we remain in lockdown, lockdown is lifted entirely, or lockdown is eased. Those are the 3 most likely scenarios. Now I bounce my project off of those 3 scenarios. If, then. If I do nothing, what happens? Well, that one always has a 0 outcome. If you do nothing, nothing happens. If you embark on the project, what happens in each of the 3 scenarios? If you have completed the project by the time the next thing happens, what changes in your life? By using the if-then model, you take some of the emotion and I think some of the desire to sit and do nothing out of the equation. You give yourself a logical means by which to think about a definite coming future. You look at the ways in which it can go and you bounce your idea off of that. When you think about it that way, you may spot opportunities you hadn't considered. You might also realize that if the scenario changes and changes soon, you will have needed to have done something by then. You may have the time to start now, but if you're not applying that scenario planning and if you're not doing the thing you realize you need to do, then nothing happens. If then is a very simple but very powerful model. If you do nothing, then nothing happens. If you do this, what might happen? Use that model, bounce your project off of 3 potential scenarios in your world. Now is the time when people are setting themselves up to become wealthy in the short to medium term. The basic formula is invest low, sell high. Build low, sell high. If you're investing now, building now, creating a business now, and things change, you will have set yourself up for prosperity. So, what's your project? Apply the if-then model and then act on it. If you're enjoying these daily videos on how to position yourself as an expert, do remember that you can go a step further now. The book Own Your Industry: How to Position Yourself as an Expert is now available as a course. It comes with video inserts, quizzes, and it helps you to implement these ideas into your world. Visit futureselfacademy.com and sign up for Own Your Industry, the course.